4 for Ohio State with a minute to go in the half. And Barrett will keep it, get the first down, and to go for territory at the 47-yard line. Clock will stop as they move the chains. 52 seconds left. 1 timeout remaining for the Buckeyes.
And if I'm Ohio State, I understand it's a 2-minute, 1-minute drill, but I don't need to throw the football because your best success has been with Barrett running.
Barrett is going to throw, though. Wide open was Hireman, and Barrett was high with the throw. He had Hireman around the 30-yard line, but a bad pass. 2nd down.
And that's normally a ball that J.T. Barrett, with his accuracy, will make consistently. And you start to wonder, as you see the snow accumulating on the field and on the sidelines, how much the element is starting to affect potentially J.T. Barrett and his accuracy.
He also had that interception, too. You wonder if that...
Well, that was just a shot downfield. I mean, those things are going to happen, but that play there to Hireman, that could have been a touchdown and a momentum changer before half.
Then no safety deep for Minnesota here. 8 in the box. And another pass play. And Barrett's pass incomplete. Evan Spencer stumbled a bit coming out of his break. So now it's 3rd down and 10 with 38 seconds on the clock in a tie game late in the first half.
Yeah, and another one back-to-back there. That ball was inaccurate as well. And J.T. Barrett's lucky that Eric Murray kind of slipped on the play. Otherwise, that ball would have hit him right in the chest.
Ohio State has not lost a Big Ten regular season game in the Urban Meyer era. And they have a 3rd down and 10 here in a tie game near midfield. Barrett will run it again. And he's got the first down inside the 40. Had a good block downfield. 31 seconds left. Ball spotted at the Minnesota 36.
And like I said, Dave, that's been their best play in the first half, is that misdirection with the quarterback. It's the play that Tracy Clay, the defensive coordinator for Minnesota, was most worried about when we talked to him yesterday. And I think right now Ohio State just needs to continue to run that play because it's being very difficult now for them to throw the ball accurately in the elements.
You saw the true freshman Sean Nurnberger warming up. He has a 49-yard field goal this year as his long. 1st and 10 Buckeyes. And Barrett back to throw again, in trouble. And Barrett finds a receiver, but it's knocked down at the last second. Bodie Calhoun caught up to Jalen Marshall, who was open. Incomplete.
J.T. Barrett was falling back, couldn't get a whole lot on that football. Jalen Marshall was open, but Bodie Calhoun with great closing speed knocks it away.
How about it? He's got a pick, a forced fumble, and now a big pass breakup. 2nd down and 10 with 23 seconds left for Ohio State at the Minnesota 36. The play clock is down to 3. Another pass. Barrett looking deep. Pass is underthrown. Incomplete, but a flag. Eric Murphy interfered with Michael Thomas. That'll give Ohio State a first down inside the 30.
And I'm surprised that Eric Murray there. He's that upperclassman that he knows he needs to turn around and look for the football.
Pass interference, defense, number 31. 15-yard penalty.
Every single week we talk about it, Dave. If you don't
down.
turn your head as a defensive back and look for the football, then you're going to put yourself at risk. He gets the left hand on the shoulder, and if you're not looking back, they're going to call that every single time. And Eric Murray, I'm surprised. On film, as I watched him this year, I haven't seen that.
So that puts the ball at the 21-yard line of Minnesota. So Ohio State is now in field goal range. 16 seconds left. The Gophers call a timeout. Ohio State has 1 timeout remaining. And what do you expect here? How do you think Ohio State will handle this, knowing that you have a timeout, but you only have 16 seconds left, and they probably want to get the ball to the middle of the field somehow for their kicker?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have an opportunity to throw the football to the end zone if you want. You could take a couple of shots to the end zone because you're at the 20-yard line, but you don't want to take too much of a chance if you're J.T. Barrett, knowing that you have the potential to go up with the lead at halftime.
But what a great first half. Ohio State looked like it was going to roll.
Yeah.
2 big plays for touchdowns, but then Minnesota gets a turnover, comes back with 2 scores to tie it, and they will get the ball to start the second half. But can Ohio State steal momentum back here? This would be big for Urban Meyer's team if they can go into the locker room with an advantage.
Yeah, I think either way, you're going to get a great game in the second half. I think you're going to get more of that ground and pound from Minnesota and David Cobb with the first half that he's had and with the ability that Minnesota has had to establish the line of scrimmage. This is going to be a four-quarter game for Ohio State.
Nuernberger's numbers on the year: he's missed 5. He is a true freshman. It would be about a 38-yard field goal from here, but still 16 seconds remaining and 1 timeout for Ohio State. Barrett with time, going to the end zone, and it is broken up at the last second again. Intended for Michael Thomas. And this time, it was Jalen Myrick for the Golden Gophers.
Great job by Myrick, as Thomas had him beat for a second. This ball hangs up in the air just enough, and Myrick comes in with that left hand. You see, that was great technique. Watch the left hand of Myrick. Gets it on the football. That's a great shot. Our guys in the truck with an awesome shot in slow-mo. Myrick knocking that ball away.
So 9 seconds left. Let's see if he takes another shot to the end zone, or if they run it to the middle of the field here and then set things up for their kicker. We're on the near hash mark right now. And Barrett gonna throw. Dumps it off to Elliott inside the 15. And close to a first down. There's 2 seconds left and now a flag. So a penalty flag that will put the ball around the 5. And now if you're Urban Meyer, you have a decision to make. You got 2 seconds left. Do you take the points, or do you say, you know what, we're going to try for a touchdown?
After runner was out of bounds, personal foul, late hit, number 41. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
Because it's a half the distance to a goal foul, though, it's pretty much a done deal. You're going to take the points.
You got, yeah, and that's Damian Wilson, number 5, coming out. You just got to. You got to hold up, but it's not going to hurt Minnesota too much here. This is basically going to be an extra point attempt for Ohio State for the field goal.
But it is snowing, and you got a true freshman kicker. 22-yard attempt. Minnesota's blocked 3 kicks this year, including a field goal. Nuernberger puts it through and gives the Buckeyes the lead at halftime. Minnesota will get the football to start the second half. Ohio State trying to keep its playoff hopes alive with a 3-point lead. Here's Tom.
Hey, Coach, you executed the 1-minute drill. You get the points there, but how do you stem the tide defensively in terms of stopping the run?
We got to quit turning the damn ball over. If we don't turn the ball over, we got a couple more opportunities to score. So we got to stop the run. They're a good running team, and we're going to make some adjustments inside, but we can't turn the darn ball over.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Coach not happy with that pick thrown by Barrett on a deep ball. The last conference loss for Ohio State, a game that he was actually scheduled to broadcast in 2011. Just prior to him taking the Ohio State job. Coming up after the break, the Capital One Halftime Report, ESPN and ABC College Football presented by Kay Jewelers will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. College football presented by Kay Jewelers. Minnesota doing a good job on offense after trailing 14-0 to tie the game, but a field goal in the final seconds by Urban Meyer's Buckeyes, and Ohio State leads by 3 as we get ready to start the second half with Brian Greasy, Dave Pash. And if you're Minnesota, you got to keep Ohio State's offense on the sideline, because when the Buckeyes were out there, they did whatever they wanted. J.T. Barrett was tremendous, had 300 yards total offense in that first half.
And it's been an aggressive approach by Minnesota on the defensive side. Jerry Kill knows they've got to make plays, but you're right. J.T. Barrett's got 168 yards rushing in the first half of this game. It's been all off of this counter motion. Take a look at this action. The fake affects the linebackers, and then once they get past the linebackers, you see there's no safety, so it's putting a lot of pressure on these linebackers to get J.T. Barrett on the ground. Again, this was the first touchdown. That counter action affects Damian Wilson. One false step and great blocking up front, and J.T. Barrett showed that he's got some speed a la Braxton Miller to get into the end zone. But I don't expect Jerry Kill and this defense to do much different. I think they just need to get J.T. Barrett on the ground when they get him at the linebacker spot.
Most yards of total offense and a half by any Big Ten player this season. Ohio State on pace for 700 yards as a team at total offense, but 2 turnovers, one that was on the goal line by Jalen Marshall, recovered in the end zone by Minnesota. Well, you know, and they're tough here in the Twin Cities, and they don't mind ice cream on a cold day. They want it to be cold. They want it to keep snowing.
Yes.
By the way, David Cobb, tremendous first half for Minnesota, 96 rushing yards and 2 scores, and the Gophers will get the ball to start the second half. A little trickery. They throw it back to Myrick. Myrick past the 30. Can't stay in bounds. Kyle Clinton, the kicker, pushed out Myrick. Otherwise, he might have taken it the distance.
Well, from the snap here, Ohio State was lined up. Take a look here. Look, there's nobody outside the hash all the way over here. This is a great adjustment from Minnesota. We talked with Jerry Kill. He said, we're going to have a few tricks up our sleeves. I think they saw that formation, made the audible, and called this. If Myrick was a little bit wider to catch that ball, Dave, he might still be running.
Yeah. And again, the kicker was the last man there, and he made the play. So now Minnesota with good starting field position. Cobb on first down is bottled up. Joey Bosa on the tackle. Take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. With Ohio State leading by 3, J.T. Barrett. Long pass overthrown and picked off, and this changed the game. It was 14-0 at that point. After the turnover, Minnesota gets a touchdown from Cobb, and then Marshall fumbles. Spencer has a chance to recover for a touchdown. Instead, it's a touchback, and then Cobb takes it in on 3rd and 15, tying it at 14 before Urban Meyer's squad kicked a field goal as time expired. They take a 3-point lead. Leidner, and that was tipped. And it seemed like Max Williams, not sure what happened there, incomplete. 3rd and 9. That's only the 7th pass attempt by Leidner here today.
Yeah, and Leidner is not in a rhythm. He's 2 of 7 on the day. That time they're trying to throw the screen to Max Williams in the middle of the field again. And Leidner and Williams are just not on the same page. But make no mistake, if Minnesota's going to pull the upset in this game, they're going to need Leidner and Williams in the second half to make some productive plays.
Just the one catch, as you saw, for Williams. Comes in with 12 touchdowns the last 2 years. Minnesota struggled on 3rd down, especially 3rd and long, although they ran for a touchdown on 3rd and 15. Leidner to the air, has time, and the receiver fell down. It's picked off by Grant. Durant Grant taking it back the other way. It's an Ohio State touchdown. But there is a penalty flag down back at midfield where the ball was thrown. Will this be interference and a first down for Minnesota, taking a touchdown off the board for Ohio State?
Pass interference, defense, number 12, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Isaac Frichte, the receiver who was in the area. Durant Grant on the cover.
It looked like he fell down. Frichte goes down right there, and Durant Grant, I don't know, that could have gone either way. If Frichte was going down on his own, Grant had his hands on him, but I wouldn't be surprised if that flag wasn't thrown. I wouldn't have an argument.
How about that? So you go from a touchdown to Minnesota converting on 3rd and long, and now they have the ball in Ohio State territory.
Huge call.
Leidner, big hole. And he's able to move the pile to the 40-yard line to get the first down. Darren Lee was the first man there, but hard to tackle the biggest starting quarterback in the Big Ten at 6'4", 240.
What did Jerry Kill say yesterday? No turnovers. We cannot afford any turnovers. You get the sense that if that penalty flag's not thrown, Minnesota's going to have a hard time overcoming that. He got a little bit of a break. Now, what do they do with it on offense? Can they convert that into points at the plus 40 going in?
4th year for Jerry Kill as the Minnesota head coach. Won 8 games last year. First time since 2008. Trying to get there again this year. Roll off for Leidner. Looking deep. Got a man overthrown. KJ May had it, but a pass just past his fingertips. 3rd and 2.
Great aggressive shot. Matt Limegrover, the offensive coordinator, calls the double move, rolls out, so you got plenty of time. And this ball just about a foot overthrown, but a great route by May. Take a look at the double move. Patience, got Doran Grant. And what a great time to call that after Doran Grant gets an interception for a touchdown. You know he's being aggressive. They just missed executing.
And they're confident they can get 3rd and 2 running the football. That's why they took the shot there. But it's another pass. And it's caught. First down inside the 35. It's Isaac Frichte who was the target on the interception that was negated because of interference on Grant. He makes the catch here, and they're inside the Ohio State 35.
Take a look at the hit that Joey Bosa puts on Mitch Leidner. He had to hold on to the ball. He wanted to throw in the flat, wasn't there, came back inside, and Bosa caught him right under the chin.
Bosa's been in the backfield a lot today. Sack, tackle for a loss, but Minnesota with a first down. Not a heavy dose of Cobb yet for the Gophers. Here it comes. And Bosa got a hold of Cobb, but he won't go down. Stood up at the 32. And we were showing you Jerry Kill earlier. It's his 4th season. What a job he's done wherever he's been at some smaller schools like Emporia State in Kansas, then at Northern Illinois for 3 years, and now in his 4th year in Minnesota. And they lost to TCU earlier this year. They turned the ball over 5 times in that game. They loved the Illinois game back on the road. Game they felt they should have won.
But a winning record now as the head coach at Minnesota, 24-23 in his 4th year. That's amazing.
Play action, Leidner in trouble, and he goes down. A sack at the 35-yard line. Josh Perry was back there. He had 18 tackles in the win against Penn State. It's a sack here to force a 3rd and 11.
Yeah, and I think, you know, 2nd down here, you're trying to be aggressive and throw the ball down the field. The ball's got to come out. You got to come out. You can't take a sack. You got to stay on schedule if you're Minnesota. Now it's 3rd and 11. They wanted to throw that ball down the field to Max Williams, take another aggressive shot, but he was good coverage. Give Ohio State secondary credit.
See if they throw it or just play conservatively and run the ball to try to give their kicker a chance to tie it. It is a quarterback run, and Leidner goes nowhere. Ohio State all over that play, so no gain. Michael Bennett there first, and now it's a 52-yard field goal try for Santoso. Also, Peter Mortel has been terrific punting the football. Now, those have all been deep kicks. 4th down and about 11.
And you can tell that this defense for Ohio State probably got a talking to at halftime from Urban Meyer. They have come out and been up to the task. They got the interception return for a touchdown. Big play was called back. They didn't give up the rest of this drive to Minnesota. They were able to come up with a stop.
Santoso, big guy, 6'6", 250. He's from Florida. True freshman, hasn't kicked in these conditions before. A 52-yarder. And the wind blows it off the upright. That thing was curving back. Looked like it might end up splitting the uprights. Instead, it's no good, and Ohio State will take over with very good field position after the miss.
Boy, mark that series down for the end of this game. The interception return for a touchdown, no, a penalty, and then this 3-point opportunity comes up just shows they're hoping for some English on the sideline.
Tonight over on ESPN, Auburn looks to rebound as Todd Gurley and the Bulldogs look to stay alive in the SEC East race. ESPN College Football Primetime presented by Hampton Hotels. Auburn and Georgia. Minnesota with a chance to tie it, but Santoso's 52-yard field goal hits the upright. Now, he drilled this thing about halfway up that left upright.
Take a look at my man down here. You think he's not hoping that thing goes in? Ball boy.
It started left, and it began to hook back like it might make it between the uprights, but no good. And Ohio State will start on its 35-yard line. First possession of the second half of the Buckeye offense, and Ezekiel Elliott with a big run. Got about 8 before he's dragged down by Eric Murray. Let's bring in Tom Luginbill.
Guys, Coach Jerry Kill is under no illusions in terms of how Minnesota has to play this game in order to win it. They've got to take chances on defense. He knows they've rolled the dice in terms of getting in cover 0, no middle safety help, which leaves you nobody to account for the quarterback. He feels like they can tackle the quarterback. They've got a chance because they like their matchups on the perimeter. And guys, another thing with J.T. Barrett, as we see him here, you don't realize how big and physical he is as a runner until you're out here, and he's an enigma. He's hard to hold up. He's not very tall, but he weighs about 225 pounds. Minnesota's having a hard time dealing with him. Very slippery.
I think the speed was what stood out in the first half when he had that 86-yard run.
Well, and it's the counter motion from the quarterback position. The problem is when Ohio State spreads you out, they can throw the ball on the perimeter, but then they also run that ball in between the tackles, and they have a man-and-a-half advantage in the blocking scheme, and it's hard to get J.T. Barrett on the ground at 225 pounds.
Here's Marshall off the right side, and he's got the first down to the 41. I think you got to give J.T. Barrett, Urban Meyer, Tom Herman, the offensive coordinator, a ton of credit for getting J.T. Barrett prepared. I mean, imagine you lose your Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback about 2 weeks before the opener, and you have a tough game against Navy. It's always a tough team to prepare for. You turn around and play Virginia Tech. Barrett struggled in that game, but has bounced back and been as good as any quarterback in college football.
And he only had 19 days to prepare for that Virginia Tech game. Of course he's going to look rattled with that defense, but he has come back in a big way.
Barrett gets outside, again showing the speed, tripped up around the first down marker at the 31. And they did get the first down.
And I think you're going to see the adjustments here by Ohio State on the offensive side at halftime. Probably went in and said, listen, we need to settle down, protect the football. We don't need to take the chances downfield. Protect the football in the elements. Our running game, there are huge lanes for us to run the football. That's what happened consistently in the first half. No reason to differ in the second.
Elliott, and he's grounded after a short gain. Best job Minnesota's done on this possession of stopping the run. You had Campbell in there. Devondre Campbell, 6'5", 240 as a linebacker. Cameron Botticelli in there as well. We're just down on the field prior to the game looking at Minnesota, and just body type, they look different than they have in the past.
They certainly have, and they've got some young guys at the linebacker position in Jonathan Celestin, Everett Williams, that are going to be great players for Jerry Kill going forward in this program. By the way, I was proud of you for going down on the field in the snow. You were down there for about 35 seconds, and you came back up.
Showed some toughness for an Arizona guy. Oh, Barrett's got a man wide open. An easy touchdown for Michael Thomas. Blown coverage by the Gophers. And Thomas, who wasn't wearing sleeves in the first half because he's from California, put him on in the second half. And a 30-yard touchdown.
You see Derek Wells and Eric Murray. Eric Murray thought he had help behind. The miscommunication there in the secondary, which is not normal for this Minnesota team. Their most experienced part of their team is in that secondary, and a blown coverage gives up 7 points.
And that is a new school record for touchdowns responsible for. J.T. Barrett, in just 9.5 games, responsible for 37 touchdowns. And he's the nation's leader in that category, along with Marcus Mariota. A 10-point lead for the Buckeyes. 24-14 after the touchdown grab by Thomas. Buckeyes back in command. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
With K and Honda, official music sponsor of ESPN College Football.
ESPN on ABC College Football presented by Kay Jewelers. Ohio State leading Minnesota 24-14 on the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive game of the week. The snow continues to fall. The temperature continues to rise from 16 to 20. Midway through this third quarter, another touchdown pass for Barrett. He's thrown 2. He's also rushed for 1. Minnesota was down 14 in the first half, came back to tie it. Can the Gophers do it again? They got some help. Ohio State turned it over twice, and obviously that was a point of emphasis with Urban Meyer's conversation with Tom Luginbill, and you would imagine the team in halftime.
the same alignment from this kickoff unit for Ohio State, all bunched up in the middle of the field.
Taken at the 5-yard line. Myrick, and he's drilled at the 20, and a penalty flag, which is likely against Minnesota. So that will back the Gophers up.
Illegal block in the back. Receiving team, number 81. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Let's take a look at today's Good Hands play, brought to you by Allstate.
Well, we're going to look at the last touchdown. This is Thompson here, the safety. Here's Murray at the top of the screen. And it's just a miscommunication. Thompson's going to come up. Murray's expecting to have help over the top. And those are two veteran guys in that secondary. And you play this kind of team, the number 8 team in the country, with this offense, you can't make it that easy. Those kinds of mistakes are what get you beat. And for Minnesota defensively, you cannot let that man throw the ball down the field that easily.
And so much at stake for both these teams. Obviously for Ohio State, still a shot to get into the playoffs. Buckeyes hoping to represent the East in the Big Ten championship game. Minnesota hoping to do the same for the West. And here's Leidner on the run, and he's up to the 15-yard line. Minnesota, Nebraska, and Wisconsin are all 4-1 in the West. Nebraska and Wisconsin play each other later today. Minnesota's at Nebraska next week, and then in Madison to close out the regular season.
Yeah, and a lot of people weren't really buying into Minnesota because they haven't played those tough teams. You know, they've played Northwestern and Purdue and Illinois. And last week they opened some eyes against Iowa. That game opened some eyes, but you're right. They've got Ohio State, obviously, and then on the road to Nebraska and Wisconsin. But I think people watching this game understand this is a good football team.
Got a whistle and movement by Minnesota. Hurting themselves here in the second half.
Offense, number 85, 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
So here is what the 3 teams tied atop the Big Ten West have left. Nebraska closes out with Iowa. Wisconsin plays at Iowa next week. So any of these 3 could win it. And a lot depends today on the health of Amir Abdullah, you would think, and Nebraska's game in Madison.
And 3 solid teams. I don't know if one of those teams just jumps out at you and says they're much better than the other. But it'll be interesting to see who comes out of the West.
Only the 3rd carry for Cobb this half. And boy, here comes a flag. That looked like a face mask as Cobb was taken down. Darren Lee stuck his hand in there. And that'll be a 15-yard penalty and a first down.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 43, 15-yard penalty, results in an automatic first down.
Yeah, when you turn the mask, you're going to get flagged. That's an easy call.
And Darren Lee's been a surprise for this Ohio State defense at that linebacker position as a freshman playing. You know, a lot of people have talked about Raekwon McMillan, the very highly touted and recruited middle linebacker, who I think is going to be an outstanding player for Ohio State for a long time. But remember last year, that was the area of concern, was the linebacker position for Ohio State. And they've got some young talent. There you see McMillan, 6'3", 240 pounds. He already looks like a menace to be reckoned with.
Well, you know they're going to recruit at Ohio State. Done a good job so far. Leidner in trouble, and he gets walloped back inside the 20. That was going nowhere from the start. McMillan and Bosa back there for the Buckeyes.
Well, he's such a talented player, and now he's starting to understand the game. He's reading the blocks of the offensive line, understands the naked look, and he is all over Mitch Leidner. With that amount of speed and talent and size, Raekwon McMillan, you're going to hear that name a lot over the next, hopefully for Ohio State fans, 3 years.
Who knows? So a loss of 10 on the play. Donnell Kirkwood is in the game, and he'll get a carry here and breaks a tackle, gets away from another defender to the 30-yard line. So he got 12 of it back. It'll still be 3rd down and long.
No, Grease, you're right. Last year, the linebacking core was a real issue for Ohio State. And Raekwon McMillan, we talk about it all the time. One of those guys in recruiting that was an early enrollee, so he got acclimated academically into their winter conditioning program, participated in spring ball. They knew they were going to have to rely upon him along with Curtis Grant. He might be one of the most physically tough and smart middle linebackers we've evaluated. Our #1 ranked linebacker last year in the ESPN 300 and Under Armour All-American.
That was Luke Fickell, the defensive coordinator, as Leidner throws deep, going for Max Williams. Williams juggled it and hung on First down, Gophers. The big tight end finally comes through when Minnesota needed a play.
We mentioned it. Just throw the ball up to the big man. 6'5", 240. That's Doran Grant again. And what great concentration. That's what excites Minnesota fans so much and their coaches about Max Williams is his concentration, his physical play. He's made plays time and again for this Minnesota offense.
Got 36 yards there. He had a couple catches last week that most receivers can't make. Here's Cobb trying to find a hole. It's not there. Slam down. Adolphus Washington and Bosa. He had McMillan back there as well. Oh, no gain on the play.
The adjustment for Ohio State in the second half on defense has been pretty clear here in the first couple of drives. They are not concerned about Minnesota throwing the football. They're going to get Tyvis Powell and Von Bell in to the line of scrimmage. You see there Luke Fickell and Chris Ash. Chris Ash brought on to be more aggressive on the defensive side, and they want to get those guys involved in the front seven in the running game.
Here comes a reverse. Now May looking to pass, and he's brought down for a loss at the 41 by Darren Lee. Now they're out of field goal range. Great read by the freshman linebacker Darren Lee. A loss of a handful.
They were trying to get the ball downfield to Max Williams. Here he is here. He's going to sneak out. Watch, he's going to fall down. May gets the pitch, and then Williams falls down. He gets tripped up. That's where they were going to go with the football. Ohio State a little bit fortunate there because you throw that ball up to the 6'5" tight end, and it could have been an easy touchdown.
And now you're in a situation where how does this impact your play calling? 3rd and 17. We've seen the leg strength of Santoso. You think you got to get 5 or 6 yards to give him another shot. But they're going to pass. Leidner over the middle, high, and picked off. Intercepted at the 20-yard line. It's Doran Grant. Grant brings it back to the 44. Minnesota with a chance to get points. Instead, they turn it over. The first one today by the Gophers.
Well, I think it was a force downfield. The ball is tipped by the tight end. Really this is a tough throw in between the safety and the linebacker. Gets tipped and then ricochets. You know what I would have liked to see there from Minnesota is you can take a shot downfield, and if you don't make it, then you punt the ball down, right? At least have the field position.
So a turnover by Minnesota. Ohio State with the ball in command by 10. Ohio State leading Minnesota 24-14 on the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive Game of the Week. It's a mission that could cost an agent's life. Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is all new Tuesday at 9, 8 Central on ABC. Well, Doran Grant had a pick 6 taken away because of an interference penalty. He gets it back when Minnesota was in position maybe to get a field goal and make it a 1-possession game. We'll see now how Urban Meyer handles this offensively with excellent starting field position at the Ohio State 45. And a fumble on the play. Barrett jumps back on it. So the Buckeyes keep possession, a 2-yard loss. Here's Robert Flores in the studio.
All right, Dave, Dr. Pepper conference update from the ACC. We'd like to welcome those of you who have been watching Georgia Tech and Clemson on ESPN. Cole Stout throwing his second pick 6 of the day. Deshaun Watson is out of this game with a leg injury. Clemson has gone with their 3rd-string quarterback. They're down 25-6.
Here at 2nd down and 12 for the Buckeyes. The late pitch to Elliott, and he breaks tackles. Elliott finally brought down near midfield by Damian Wilson. This is a huge 3rd down for Minnesota as we close in on the final minutes of the 3rd quarter. 3rd down and 4 for Ohio State. The Buckeyes, one of the best teams in the country on 3rd down, and they are 6 of 8 today. 3rd down situation.
And one of the big reasons why is in these situations, Urban Meyer knows he does not have to throw the football to get a 1st down. He's got plenty of weapons to run the ball and get a 1st down. 0 coverage again from Minnesota.
They bring Marshall into the backfield. They fake the pitch. Barrett wrapped up and tackle. Gain of 2, 4th down. Does Ohio State take a chance and go for it, or does Urban elect to punt the ball deep here?
Great play by Devondre Campbell, the linebacker. Same thing. Here he is right here. Take a look. Same quarterback counter play, the fake pitch. Watch Campbell fold back in. And with the size that Campbell has at 240 pounds, easily gets J.T. Barrett on the ground.
If it wasn't him making the hit, maybe Barrett does get the first down.
And that's what Jerry Kill told us at halftime was, look, we're going to continue to play the same aggressive style. For us to get the numbers on the quarterback run game, we've got to play zero coverage.
Cameron Johnston has not had a good day punting the football. This isn't bad. Could have been a lot worse for Minnesota. Fair catch made at the 18-yard line by Craig James. And now Minnesota, you'd think, has to score, knowing that possessions are going to be few here in the final frame. Tonight on ABC, Jameis Winston and the undefeated Seminoles take on Miami. Saturday Night Football. Everybody down on Florida State, despite the fact they haven't lost a game in 2 years.
Yeah, well, but most importantly, the committee has been down on Florida State and moved them from 2 to 3, and I can't argue with them. I cannot argue with them.
Ohio State at 8 in the latest college football playoff rankings. Trying to keep hopes alive of a spot on the Final Four. First down for the Golden Gophers. Just shy of their 20-yard line. Here's Cobb through a hole, and Cobb wrapped up near the first down. 9-yard pickup there. Josh Perry on the tackle. Cobb is over 100 yards on the day, over 1,300 on the season, and over 2,500 the last 2 years after barely playing the first 2 years. Meanwhile, Josh Perry shaken up for Ohio State. Boy, I'm surprised on a day like this, as cold as it is, we haven't seen more guys down.
And a physical game, too. It's going to be a physical game here in the second half. Minnesota up front, they want to be physical. It's a long day for a linebacker when you have a physical offensive line and a physical back in David Cobb coming downhill at you. Hopefully he just got the wind knocked out of him when Cobb fell down on top of him.
Game was tied at 14, and then Ohio State, as the first half came to an end, got a 22-yard field goal to take a 3-point lead. The only score in the second half has been by Ohio State. Touchdown pass by Barrett. Minnesota with a second down and short.
They're going to let the third quarter run out. If you would have told Jerry Kill that you're headed in the fourth quarter, it's still within striking distance, I think he would have taken it.
10-point lead for the Buckeyes as we go to the fourth. ESPN on ABC College Football, presented by Kay Jewelers, will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Braxton Miller's school record. Meanwhile, Cobb only 15 rushing yards this half. Third straight game that Thomas has a touchdown catch for Ohio State. That was the only score in the third quarter. And Minnesota with the ball, trailing by 10, second down and 1 at the Gopher 27 on Senior Day. Last chance for the Gopher fans to cheer on their team here at home.
The pack of Gophers having fun there.
Minnesota's in Lincoln next week, then Madison to close out the regular season. And they'll keep it here with Leidner, and he's able to move the sticks. Got the first down to the 29-yard line. Near the 30. How many possessions will Minnesota get? Down 10. They'd love a nice long drive here, get something out of it. They had a chance on the last possession to get at least a field goal, but a turnover, a pick by Leidner, ended their hopes of that.
With this Ohio State defensive line having 4 guys that play just about every snap on defense, how will they fare in the fourth quarter?
Here's Cobb, finds a crease. An ankle tackle past the 35 by Darren Lee. Been a lot of ankle tackles on David Cobb. And I think he was just frustrated there, saying it happened again. I thought I had a touchdown.
Well, this is the time of the game where David Cobb and the physical nature starts to take his toll. And Minnesota wanted to get this game to the fourth quarter and see if they could begin to wear down that defensive line and start to break some of those big runs. And Cobb knows he was close.
8 yards there. So second down and 2. And Cobb this time stood up. Forward progress will put him right at the first down marker. Like a good spot. Here, a Minnesota fan, Josh Perry, who was shaken up earlier but back on the field, was the first man there. And they'll spot him just short. So third down and a yard here for Minnesota.
And this is a good scenario for Minnesota. You know, you have a positive play on first down, and you get in third and short situations. They feel very comfortable with either Mitch Leidner or David Cobb and their size and strength and ability to convert.
They bring Max Williams into the backfield here, and it will be Leidner, and he gets some help, but a flag down. Max Williams came in there and drilled his quarterback. Flag was thrown on the far sideline.
Illegal formation on the offense. 5 men in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. Replay, third down.
And Jerry Kill knows that's a penalty you just can't have in this situation.
And that's a killer because they had converted the first down. And now they're going to be in a situation where they may need to throw the football, and they're only 4 of 11 on the day throwing the football.
So you go from 1st and 10 to a 3rd down and 6 at the 34-yard line.
And it infuriates a coach like Jerry Kill because you have guys up front, offensive linemen that are coming off the ball, getting first downs and controlling the game, and you have a wide receiver that doesn't get on the ball.
Now they spread it out here on 3rd down and 6. Leidner rolling to his right and looking into traffic. It's intercepted again, this time by Vonn Bell. And Bell is to the Minnesota 30. Back-to-back picks thrown by Leidner. And Ohio State will take over deep in Minnesota territory.
Well, and it's trying to flood one side of the field, and the problem is it's too congested. You're going to see, you can run it here, guys. You're going to see there's going to be 2 guys running an out route, and he's trying to get the ball to May, freeze it there. See right here, there's Vonn Bell, and he's just waiting on that. You can't throw that ball back like that in a congested area, but you knew that for Minnesota to convert on a 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, they're going to have to throw the ball. They just haven't had that consistency throwing the ball today. So that penalty, after converting that 3rd down, is huge.
Well, think about that. 2nd and 2. 2nd and 2, then 3rd and 1, and then with a penalty 3rd and 6. And that's not where Minnesota's successful. Not many teams are. Elliott met at the point of attack and dropped. Minimal gain there. Jack Lynn, the first man to greet Elliott, as Minnesota knows it has to hold Ohio State to a field goal here. Second down and 9 for the Buckeyes. Ohio State trying to get to 9-1, 6-0 in Big Ten play. They have not lost under Urban Meyer in a Big Ten regular season game. 32-3 with the losses. Virginia Tech out of conference, Michigan State in the Big Ten championship, and Clemson in the bowl game. Elliott rumbles to the 26. A 6-yard gain, so a manageable 3rd down here. Run or pass options you would imagine for Ohio State. Only 13th year coaching for Urban Meyer as a head coach. You think he's been around forever, but he's only 50. 13th year as a head coach. Success, Bowling Green, Utah. 2 titles at Florida, trying to bring a championship. Ohio State, they had an undefeated season his first year, but they were not eligible because of violations by the previous staff under Jim Tressel. 3rd down and 4. Barrett, little roll to the left, and the catch made by Marshall for a first down. Spun out of play inside the 20.
And it's a simple rollout here. Jalen Marshall is taking over for Dontre Wilson, who was injured. And you see that was Thompson, the safety, who just did not have the right angle. He tried to play between Marshall and Barrett and just didn't have the right angle, and it was an easy conversion.
Ten straight points by the Buckeyes after Minnesota tied it late in the first half. Barrett pulls it back and throws high. They just have thrown it away that time, seeing double coverage. Devin Smith, the intended receiver.
Go back and take a look. This is the 3rd down penalty. Both these guys are off the line of scrimmage. That leaves only 6 on the ball. 5 guys in the backfield, and that's why Minnesota was forced with that penalty. After they converted, you see clearly they're off the ball. It's a good call by that official. It was a big penalty in the course of this game for Minnesota.
Again, something had nothing to do with the play, right? I mean, you line up as a receiver wide, you know the ball's not coming out that way anyway. You just kind of fell asleep.
It's the details.
On 2nd down, they run an end around, and Corey Smith is tackled for a loss by Jack Lynn. That is a huge play. So now it's 3rd down and 12 for Ohio State. And again, Minnesota has to get a stop here. If they get down 17, this game's over. They need to have it be a 13-point deficit at worst.
Well, and I think they're going to play their same defense. They probably have no safety in the middle of the field here. But Ohio State has converted these third downs, even the third and longs, Dave, with running the football with J.T. Barrett and that quarterback counter action. Wouldn't be surprised they did it again here.
So it's 3rd and 12. See if they do it. Going to be a pass. Barrett trying to set up a wide receiver screen. Look out. It's going to be a touchdown. Well designed as Evan Spencer takes it in and maybe puts away the Gophers. What a great design on 3rd and 12. A 22-yard touchdown pass. The 3rd today for Barrett.
Great call by Tom Herman, the offensive coordinator. They've got the blitz off the edge. You get the block by Vanette. Get the ball in the hands of Evan Spencer, and you know you're going to have zero coverage. There's nobody left. Perfect call for Ohio State.
Nurnberger on for the extra point. And that's 17 straight by Ohio State.
It's been a physical game all game. You know what you're going to get on defense if you're Urban Meyer and you dial this play up. This slip screen is a great call against an all-out pressure and zero. And Urban Meyer with a sly little grin.
Driving conditions not so good here, but they'll be great in Miami for the Ford EcoBoost 400 Sunday at 1 Eastern on ESPN. 4 drivers, 39 spoilers, 1 race. Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Newman drive for their first championship. Jeff Gordon on the pole. Temperature up to about 21.
How do you think those NASCARs would operate on that road right there?
Might be fun to watch as long as there were no fans around.
Put some bumpers.
J.T. Barrett saw his racing ability in the first quarter. 86-yard touchdown run. He also has 3 touchdown passes. He now has 29 touchdown passes on the year. The school record for Ohio State is 30 by Troy Smith in 2006. And there's still 2 regular season games left. That kick goes out of bounds, so good field position for Minnesota. But is it too late? Down 17 with 10 minutes left.
Free kick out of bounds. Ball will be placed at the 35-yard line.
Minnesota ball when we come back.
And Dr. Pepper, always one of a kind.
ESPN and ABC College Football presented by Kay Jewelers continues with Ohio State scoring 17 unanswered points, leading Minnesota on the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive game of the week. 31-14 Buckeyes. The Gophers with a first down on their 35-yard line. Interceptions on the last 2 possessions, though, by Mitch Leitner. Now do they have to throw it here? They'll keep it on the ground on first down. David Cobb wrestled to the ground by Adolphus Washington for no gain. Our college football playoff rankings brought to you by Vizio. Mississippi State and Alabama today at 3:30. Florida State on ABC tonight. Arizona State tonight on ESPN. Auburn, Georgia as well. Ohio State back in the conversation, but a lot has to happen in front of the Buckeyes, assuming they continue to win.
Well, Ohio State fans will be rooting for the Hurricanes tonight, that's for sure. That would be one to get Florida State. And then, you know, the TCU game, the way TCU beat Minnesota 30-7 is naturally going to be compared with how this game finally ends up in the win column for Ohio State.
Cobb, beautiful cutback, got the first down to the 46-yard line.
But the big issue is the strength of schedule for Ohio State. They've beaten one top 25 team, and that's Michigan State. Now this, if they hold on today, will be the second. Will certainly help. But you see the schedule, and as you compare it to those top 6 teams in the country, that's why Ohio State still remains on the periphery.
Well, they're the only team in the top 10 with a loss against the team that's under 500. Now, when Virginia Tech won that game, a lot of people said, oh, hey, the Hokies might be a team to watch in the ACC, but then they lost consecutive games. On first down, going to be a play. Pass, and Leitner rolling out. Look out. Almost threw another pick. Diving attempt by Apple.
No, guys, we talk so much about perception of a football team or perception of a conference, and you could argue, we referenced it earlier, 5 teams in the college football playoff rankings out of the Big Ten. Could argue that the ACC's perception now is taking a bigger hit than the Big Ten's, but a lot's going to have to happen. There's going to have to be some implosion in the Big 12. I think there's going to have to be some disruption, certainly into the Pac-12 potentially for Ohio State to keep moving up. And Florida State, I believe, would have to lose tonight to be the first domino to fall to help Ohio State continue to climb.
Well, yeah, Tom, they could lose to the Florida Gators if they don't lose tonight as well. Florida Gators are looking better. They're playing South Carolina today. So, you know, I think there's a lot of dominoes still out there. I think the strength of schedule for Urban Meyer and Ohio State may end up being a bigger factor than that loss to Virginia Tech, because if the committee ends up completely staying close to the rubric that they said, what are the best teams in college football, you have to look at the improvement that Ohio State has made over the course of the year. They are a completely different team than they were in week 2. A completely different offense with a quarterback that's playing as good as anybody in the country.
It's the best teams in December, not the best teams for the whole season. And that's how they're going to evaluate it as that pass is overthrown. They have to look at the body of work, but ultimately you're going to put the 4 teams you think are the best right now in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, and so, you know, one of TCU or Baylor, one of those two you had to think is going to be there at the end. Baylor beats Kansas State, you think they're going to jump TCU because of the head-to-head. Oregon and Arizona State are going to ultimately play. You know, if they win out, they're going to play in the Pac-12 championship. And when you think about Ohio State, you have to look at the Oregon game too, right? Oregon beat Michigan State. Ohio State beat Michigan State. That comparison might come into play for the College Football Playoff Committee.
There's the punt, and the fair catch is muffed, and Minnesota recovers at the 14. Miles Thomas recovered, as that's the 3rd time Marshall has either muffed or fumbled the football today. A fumble in the end zone, 2 muffs on punt returns, and Minnesota not done just yet, perhaps.
Well, and this is a familiar theme for Ohio State. It was Dontre Wilson, right? He has had trouble in these kinds of situations holding on to the football, and now Jalen Marshall, who everybody's been excited about potentially being a replacement for Dontre Wilson. More of the same, albeit in a little bit of a different environment with the elements today.
But can Minnesota score? The Gophers have been shut out by this Ohio State defense here in the second half. Here's Cobb. And there just hasn't been a lot of running room for him. They've done a good job at the point of attack on the defensive line. Joey Bosa, a terrific player. We've seen him rush the passer all year. He's just as good against the run. He's got 10 tackles today, a sack and a tackle for a loss. Second down.
Well, in this scenario, I know that Mitch Leidner has had a nightmarish game so far throwing the football with the turnovers, inability to get anything going in the passing game. I would still give him the opportunity just to throw the ball up in the end zone to Max Williams, because got a 50-50 chance of him coming down with it.
Went there a long time there in the huddle as well, and wasting precious seconds here as we close in on 7 minutes to go. Cobb again through a crease, and he's in for the Minnesota touchdown. 3rd one today for David Cobb. Cobb doing what he can to keep the Gophers' hopes alive on his final home game as a Gopher. 3 rushing touchdowns, 11 on the year.
And all 3 of those touchdowns, Dave, have come off of turnovers by Ohio State. That's been really the only way that Minnesota has been able to get the ball in the end zone.
Santoso for the point after. Now it comes down to whether Minnesota can get a stop. 2-possession game, 10-point lead for Ohio State. Jalen Marshall has had his trouble. Put the ball on the ground 3 times. Meanwhile, David Cobb has found the end zone 3 times.